Okay. Hi, everybody. This is Rahti. I'm just waiting to see if anybody's here and if I can tell when they join me. Event logs, too. I don't know what that means, if maybe this isn't working. I'm just going to wait patiently here to see if anybody is joining me. Yeah, I don't know if the live stream is working, Joe, so it would really help me if you could get on it. And if you have tried to get on it, it would help me to know that, period. I don't know. There are all these events. Ah, I see an eyeball. Do you mind introducing yourself? I think there should be a chat, so I'd like to know who's with me right now. Don't be shy. I want to know that I'm not just talking into the abyss and that one person watching is not me. I'm going to say hello. And somebody's just jumped off. I don't have notifications up. Joe is writing to me so I can see what's going on. Just call me. I'm on your page, but the stream ended after about a minute. Well, I haven't ended it. I'm on now. I'm on now. Can you try to get back on? Yeah, this is all very strange. If you're trying to join me and it's not working, oh boy. I see that eyeball still, and I need a text. I need a text. I don't know. I'm getting all of these event logs, which don't comfort me. I don't know what's going on. I'd like to call Joe. Yeah, Joe.
Hey, Rahti.
Hi, so are you watching me on the live stream? I don't know if it's working. It says that I'm live, but no, I see one eyeball. Are you the eyeball?
Yeah, no. So I'm on the page, and all I see when I click on videos and live was that there was one, and I watched that because it said that you were having some trouble. Well, you said that
I
you were having
deleted
trouble.
it, but I'm on live now. If you go to the page, you refresh your browser on the page. And I would, because I mean, I don't know if people can text to me or what's going on.
Yeah, I'm here, but I don't see it.
Really? That's really weird.
Well, hold on, hold on. Okay. I deleted it, but I'm on live now. If you go to the page, refresh your browser on the page. It says that you're live now.
Yeah.
I think there's just a massive delay.
Ah, massive delay.
Yeah.
That sucks, man.
Sarabi is on.
Who's on?
Sarabi, I see
Oh,
her.
well, hi there. Hi, Sarabi. Sarabi, could you text something? Joe, are you able to text?
Yeah, I can text.
Could you do it then? Because I want to see I want to see it. I want to see what that looks like. Sarabi, just text me and say hi if you can.
She
Okay?
has already. So she texted hi, and I am here.
I don't see her text. Why is that?
I'm not sure.
That's really annoying that I don't see her text because then I can't see questions.
Yeah. There's another person on, but I can't see who it is.
See video, see video insights. Because I can text, but I can't see text from other people. So could you do me a favor? Oh boy, this sucks. Joe, I hate to use your time this way. I'm wondering if you can stay on and tell me what people are texting. I don't know.
Yes, I will do that.
Oh man. Anybody asking any questions?
No, not yet.
Okay, all right. There's got to be a way to do this. So I'm gonna have to figure out before next time. All right. Well, I'm gonna go for about a half hour here, I guess, and I'll ask you once in a while if anybody has questions.
No problem. I will keep the
All right. Well, hi,
conversation
Sir
open.
Robbie. So, since I can't see it, tell me who's on the call. Who has text? If you're on the call, please text and say, hi, Rati, or whatever, so I know you're out there. Who's out there? Who's out there? Anybody, Joe, besides Sarabi?
No one yet, but it
Okay.
might take a minute for what you're saying to register to everybody else. The delay is long.
Okay. Oh, sir, there you are. Can we do FaceTime or Zoom instead? Hi, I just got your note. Well, it seems, Sarabi, there's just a massive delay. I'm so grateful to see your message here, though. I think I may try to change mediums next time, but I can't at this juncture and expect people to find me. So I'm going to do the best I can. And Boy, there's going to be a lot to scroll through in terms of people seeing the rerun of this. I don't know. Maybe there's a way we can edit the first part, Joe. We can talk about that because otherwise it's going to be really hard for people to watch. But what I want to talk about I did get a question. There's the big issue now, I think, with this issue. There's Sarah. There I see. You know what? I also have my phone, folks. It's a little more immediate. So if you want to Facebook message me, I think that that's a way to go because I can see the Facebook messages. That's pretty cool. I think, Sarabi, is that what you're doing? Facebook messaging me? Or is it just regular text messages you're sending? I don't know because she hasn't written it. She hasn't written back yet.
I
Uh,
think that she's on Facebook Messenger because
okay. You know what I'm going to do? Because I can see the text. I can see your texts on my phone, and I can also see it on Zoom. So, folks, I don't know who other folks there are, if there are any. You can text me through Facebook Messenger or Facebook. You can just comment, and I hopefully will see your picture, see your comment, and I'm just going to start talking about loneliness because that's the question I'm getting right now in this time of, sheltering in, which Mr. Cuomo doesn't want to call it, but that's really what it is. We're sheltered in. I'm very fortunate because I'm living I have my family here. But a lot of people I work with right now are extremely isolated and they're on their own in their apartments. And yes, we can connect this way through FaceTime, which is awesome. Not FaceTime, but whatever this is, Facebook Live, Zoom. There are all kinds of ways to connect. But still, we have swaths of time in which we are left to our own devices and in the darkness of our own thoughts. So that must be contended with, right? So I thought I'd talk a little bit about how to overcome that negative self talk. All right. I have a presentation I do on this. I don't know if I want to get all fancy ass and try to do a screen share. I think that would be foolish. So we'll just keep it verbal. But here's the bottom line. When we have a lot of times time to ourselves to think, a lot of us just go right to negative self talk and self doubt. And here's the thing to know about that, and frankly, all forms of thought, they are an illusion. I mean, think about it. You know, when you think about thoughts, what are they? Where do they live? Right? You got a brain, that's a physical organ, but then you also have a mind. And where is that mind? Is it your thoughts, your mind? I don't know. I'm getting a little metaphysical here, and I'm doing that on purpose. Because I think that if we don't get clear about the nature of the mind, then we are left at the mercy of our negative thoughts. And the thing is that the mind is simply a continuum. I'm getting into a little Buddhist philosophy here, but this is what I believe. The mind is a continuum from, well, one lifetime to another. It's like one dream to another. You know, you dream at night and it seems so real, and then you wake up and boy, it was just a dream, and then you forget the dream. You don't know what happened. That's what I think happens to us lifetime after lifetime. And in other words, nothing exists except in relation to your own mind. So in times like this, when we're all alone, we get to do a lot of thinking behind other people's backs, and it's not always to best effect. So, again, talking about what thoughts are actually subtle actions that affect the state of mind we are in, right? So, the good news is if all thought was empirically true, then everything ever written would have occurred and we'd all be dead. Every horror story that was ever written would be true because somebody thought it up and we'd all be dead. It's just made up stuff, all right? And the trick is when you're alone and in the middle of the beating yourself up, how do you remember that? All right? How do we know when we are caught up in the throes of what the Buddhists call Shenpa? Shenpa, that is spelled Shenpa. And it's a term that it means, I don't know if it's a great translation. I think it's a pretty good translation. Shenpa is, I guess, I'm not even sure what language, if it's Sanskrit or what, but it means the thoughts that hook us. The thoughts that hook us. When you are hooked into Shenpa, you are caught up in a rumination, about what other people think of you, how much better they're doing, what a loser you are, coulda, shoulda, woulda. That's Shenpa. All right? A massive form of psychic self-abuse. Right? So, here's the key. What you pay attention to grows. So you got to pay attention to what you're paying attention to. You're alone in your apartment having to shelter in, and you find yourself caught up in some really negative thought action, and it's creating a lot of really bad feeling in you. Well, that is a cue. That is a cue for you to catch yourself getting hooked in that Shenpa and making the choice. You have to pause at that moment and make a choice to move your mind someplace else. To think, what is it I want to accomplish? What is it that I really want to focus on and grow, and move yourself there? I will often tell clients, for lack of anything else, just start listing gratitudes. If you're caught up in Shenpa, Then, and you, as soon as you notice it, you're caught up in those negative self thoughts, you stop and start thinking of what am I grateful for? I'm grateful for the fact that I have a means to communicate with people during this time. I love the light, the way it's hitting the wall. I love the fact that my family is being very respectful right now and allowing me to do this Facebook Live without making a lot of noise in the background. Just start, and you will notice that you are no longer feeling like shit because you cannot experience both things at once. You cannot experience gratitude and feeling like shit in the same moment. So that is a really powerful tool. I'm going to pause there and go back and see if there are any other comments or questions. I don't see any comments or questions so far, so I'm probably going to keep ranting. First, I'm going to see if I got any texts. No. Oh, so you're doing regular text, Sarabi. I will check my regular text from time to time. In fact, folks, I'm going to put this in the chat. My cell phone number, 804-9572. Text with questions. I don't know that because there could be such a delay that's the best way to go about this. Also, Miss Joe, you should feel free to go because I think I got this. I know what the situation is now. It's recording. There's just a massive delay. And
Okay.
yeah, so I think I'm cool. I'm going to just keep rapping and checking my texts and messenger and all of that. So thanks,
Okay.
thanks, Joe. Joe is my right hand woman and my left brain. Thank God.
I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later, Joe. Good. Bye.
Bye.
So where was I? Yeah. Let me go back to what I was talking about. Overcoming our negative self talk, which is really the key to overcoming loneliness and overcoming despair and overcoming compare and despair. It's catching yourself doing it and shifting your focus to something else. It really is that simple, right? There is no, you can't find solutions by focusing on a problem. Isn't that ironic? You can't. Because if you just focus on the problem, well, I'm lonely. I can't stop being lonely. You can say, how do I stop being lonely? Well, at least that's a solution focused question. How do I stop being lonely? Well, maybe for now I'll just turn on the TV. Or maybe I'll pick up the phone, right? If you're feeling something, see if you can just reformulate it into a solution focused how to question. Because then you can start to have some constructive thoughts. All right. So let me go on with this. What we're talking about here, what you pay attention to grows. Here's the thing about our minds. If you're a writer or an entrepreneur, an artist of any kind, a creative, any old type of person. Here's the thing about the mind, and it is related to what I just said. You get to pick the pasture. You get to pick the pasture you're in, right? As writers, for instance, the trick is learning to train your mind where you want it to go. Sometimes that means you have to inhibit your attention in order to get it to go there, right? You have to intentionally practice what I call birth control of thoughts. You may be in the middle of something and then suddenly you just, for whatever reason, you come across something on the internet and it makes you feel bad about yourself or whatever. You have to, as soon as you can, catch that and go cancel, 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 or whatever kind of pattern disrupt you like. Maybe jump up and down. I don't know. It's all fair game. All right. But you don't have the luxury of depression right now. That doesn't mean you should beat yourself up for being depressed. It just means you don't have the luxury to stay there. It means you need to be compassionate, notice it, and ask, how can I cheer you up? Think about yourself as your own best friend. If a best friend or someone you loved was in despair, what would you do? How would you act towards them? Would you kick them and say, oh, fucking get over it? Or would you say, gee, what do you need right now? What can I do for you? Right? We have to be, kindness, charity starts at home. Kindness starts with the self. It is a time to be extremely kind. Yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah, but. Now, everybody's got their yeah, buts when it comes to this and being nice to myself. But still, my relationship is on the rocks. All of my friends are 8 years ahead of me in their careers or whatever. Yeah, but. Believe it or not, there is a phenomena that I think sparks that kind of comparative thinking, and it is, closely related to two issues that are flip side of the same coin. And those are shame and grandiosity. Shame and grandiosity are flip sides of the same coin. First, we feel shame because people are way ahead of us, or so we think, because all we see in life are other people's A-reels. We really don't know. And then the grandiosity is what makes us feel separate. I somehow am special, and if I was really living up to my potential, then I would not have this problem. There is a slight grandiosity there that has nothing to do with reality. You know? There's a difference also between grandiosity and ambition. See, we tend to think of ourselves all the time. We're all, as the Buddhists say, very self-cherishing. This is the heart of grandiosity. We are number one. We are the most important one, right? So grandiosity is an exaggerated belief in our own importance. And often under that belief in our own importance is extreme feeling of unimportance and unworthiness, okay? That's really what it is. Whereas humility, which is, I heard a great definition of humility. I use it. I tell people this definition because it's the best one I've ever heard. Yes, humility is being right-sized in your own perception, knowing that you are no more than anyone else. But what it also is, in doing that and realizing that you are no more important than anyone else, you are not thinking less of yourself. You're just thinking about yourself less. You can be extremely humble and greatly ambitious at the same time. Because ambition and grandiosity are not the same thing. Right? Ambition is an earnest desire for some type of achievement and the willingness to strive for its attainment. Willingness to be uncomfortable and pay the price and do the work to attain something or create something. That's ambition. Has nothing to do with grandiosity. Grandiosity is all about shame. All right. And shame is all about feeling unworthy, less than, comparing. All right. So getting back to birth control of thoughts. If we understand all this, then we can catch ourselves thinking in self-destructive ways, creating these thought actions that make us feel really bad about ourselves. All right. So, in terms of loneliness, in terms of compare and despair, it's all about managing your mind. I really wanted to focus on that because my alumni client Gabrielle was so kind and sent me that question, about how to deal with that aloneness. So Caddy just joined. That's great. Now it's happening. She might have joined 10 minutes ago. I don't know because of this very strange delay. But at this point, um, if you have any questions, I would love it if you would post them in the chat so that I could address them. All right. I see these faces popping up too. Smile, hello, heart, whatever. Yeah. So, for me right now, I'm just winging this thing and I'm just focused on you. That's the only way I can do this. Because if I start focusing on how it's going and the technical problems, and boy, this, I could just implode and I would be of absolutely no service, right? So it's all about getting the attention off yourself and on to what you want to grow, right? So wanted to talk about. The other thing is now we're suddenly finding that we have to change, right? All of us had plans for the next few months that involved leaving the house. Some of those plans had to do with making money. So I'm very curious to know what other people are doing or where they're at in that regard. What are you struggling with right now? What has to change? What has to pivot for you? Right? I'm in a rarefied position here because this is how I've been doing business all along. I mean, I've been working virtually with people. So that's great. But what if that's not how you roll? Where are you? Are you feeling paralyzed? Are you, oh, let's see what Caddy says. Caddy says, I feel like all the work I've done has gotten washed away. How do I plan for a world I've never met before? What a gorgeous question. What a gorgeous question. First of all the work you've done. First, I'm wondering, first of all, what work is that? Because if it is your inner work, nothing can wash it away. If what you're referring to is your inner work and getting clear about your work, what it is you want to do in the world, nothing can wash that away. It's just prepared you for this moment, right? I know, for instance, though, that Caddy is a bartender. That's that's her bread. I hope you don't mind me outing you, Caddy. I mean, Caddy is much more than that, but that's her side gig, her bread and butter. She is becoming part of the inspiration economy herself and moving towards doing some very interesting work. All right. So none of us have met this before. None of us has met this world before, Caddy. I don't know if it helps, but uh, you know, it ain't alone. I'm just curious about why you feel um, everything is canceled out by what's happened, right? I'm not sure what it is that's been washed away. If you want to take a minute to type a little in the chat, if you're comfortable with that, then I can address that a little more specifically. Meanwhile, somebody, Surabai, has written, uh, my struggle seems to be a kind of a ride, kind of wired kind of loneliness. Oh, and all a wired. I think you were meant to write wired as in wired in because all your solo time has been taken away since your family is around you. Well, that's interesting, feeling lonely because nobody else gets that you do matter as much as they do. Yeah, I'm wondering if that's what you're referring to. Uh, all your solo time has been taken away. Okay, here's the thing about that, though. I wonder, uh, you can't, your solo time cannot be taken away unless you give it. So, where are your boundaries? What are you, what is it in you that causes you to feel you must always say yes? Right? That's what I wonder right there. What are you afraid of if you say, I can talk to you at 6 o'clock? Until then, I'm working on something. I'm not available till 6 o'clock, for instance. That's an example. Where is the permission? Why don't you have it to protect your time? I'll tell you, because this has been a seamless transition for me, I'm busier than ever. I'm extremely busy, and I have to protect my time. I cannot have people interrupting me. I have my phone on Do Not Disturb, right? My son can't come into the room right now and ask me a bunch of questions. Um, so let's see. My struggle seems to be, yeah, no, I already read that. So again, if you want to comment, let me know if that has helped, what I've just said, or whether there's something you think I'm not getting, which is very possible, right? If something I say lands for you, give me a sign. Send me a sign so I know I'm not talking into the abyss. Give me a little thumbs up or something so I know that what I said is speaking to the question that you raised. Because again, that's really what matters to me right now. All right, is knowing that you are feeling a connection here. I would also say that I think you can all see the chat as well as I can, which means that if you see people here, they're part of the creative calling coaching community. And that means that you should connect with each other, right? Uh, you know, you should, I'm hoping you can friend each other and start to expand your network. This is going to be a very interesting time because I believe it's a time where we're going to actually deepen our connections like never before. That's my husband, everybody. Uh, we're going to be deepening our connections like never before, right? Connection isn't just hanging out with a bunch of people. That's not connection. I think is that can be the loneliest place in the world, right? So I think we have an opportunity here to really enrich each other's lives in through distance. All right. So yeah, boundaries are very important right now. If you happen to be living with other people, for instance, whether you are or not, if you're living with other people, the communication has to flow. You gotta have. You can't expect people to read your mind. All right. You can't expect people to read your mind, and you can't feel like you also can't have no unexpressed thoughts. We also have to filter our truth through kindness because this is a challenging time for everyone. But we do have to ask for what we need from our loved ones who are around us. It was a little bumpy at first when this all started because my husband and I were not on the same page as far as the virus thing was concerned. Having people take their shoes off outside the apartment and go straight to wash their hands, that was tough. That was tough for him to get his head around. And it was tense because, we both had to get to a place, he had to get to a place where he realized that we have our lives in each other's hands right now. All right? But we worked it out. We talked it out. So that's key. Hi, Mary. My dear friend Mary just joined, Mary Condi. She is my puppy's godmother and one of the true saints in my life. Hi, so glad you're here. So, we've been talking about birth control of thoughts, managing the mind, right? What you pay attention to grows. If you're someone who lives by yourself, think I love that little thumbs up. When you start to notice you are ruminating, it's not something you really have the luxury of right now. You have to pay attention to what you're paying attention to. Birth control of thoughts. Cancel, cancel, cancel. You get to choose your pasture. What do I want to think about? I know that I want to make a delicious dinner. Okay, what does that mean? There can be nothing more therapeutic than creating a beautiful fruit salad. Wash your hands and get your hands into the fruit and into chopping them up and, connecting to something real and in the moment. Uh, if your focus is on something, connecting to something outside of yourself, you're not going to feel lonely in that same moment, you know? We have that that's what the mindfulness training is all about. I believe most of you here and all of my clients at one point or another, if I haven't already said it, I'm going to ask you to start a meditation practice because we must learn to manage our minds. And that's how they've been doing it for thousands of years. It is the one technique that has stood the test of time. There are many different techniques, many different variations of it. But learning to bring your focus back to a single point of choice over and over and over again is learning to wrangle those ephemeral, non existent objects we call thoughts that cause us to feel all manner of things. And we get to make it all up. Yeah, baby, Cattie's been cooking. Go on, she's been cooking while we've been talking. That's wonderful. Cooking more is very therapeutic, I think. Yes, right? Oh boy, we're having some struggles with that right here in the house. I have a child. Well, he's almost a man. He's a man child now. He's 17 and getting his head around just making do with the food that's in the house. Not easy. Not easy. Um, yeah. So I'm going to check my phone to see if anybody else has. I want to be involved in your son's education. Yeah, I'm so glad I picked up my phone, Surabhi, because I didn't want to miss this. You have to, of course, you want to be involved in your son's education. So here's the solution focused question for you. How can you be involved in your son's education and still have time for yourself? How can you do that? Now, I'm not going to tell you because I'm a coach, I'm not a consultant. Sometimes I give suggestions. But I think if you take anything away from this, it's how to um, reframe problems into solution focused questions. However, I want to ask the hive mind here. Surabhi's question is, how can I be involved in my son's education and still have time for myself? Anybody have some thoughts? Text, just put them in the chat here. Because I'm not going to try to answer all of those questions. What I will try to do, though, is help you reframe them. All right? The fact is, other people may come up with answers to that may not work for you, but they may stimulate other ideas. Brainstorming, in other words. Right? Uh, and I also don't remember how old your son is. I know I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I think it's a good question to sit with, right? Uh, First of all, I mean, I don't know. Is your son in I know I don't remember whether he's living if your son's living with you. I don't know how old. Are you managing the learning because he's very, very small? I know that's got to be tough. Because, for instance, like I said, I have a 17-year-old and he's doing remote learning, but he's self sufficient. He's in high school. That's a very different gig than if you have a really small child. Um, it may be that you have, I don't know if you have school hours, if you have set school hours for the child from like, I don't know what it would be, 3, and that's a very structured time that you have to oversee. Well, maybe there's a bit of surrender that has to happen there where, okay, from 9 to 3, it's school time. I don't like it, but I have to be the teacher. I have to oversee the school time. But at 3 o'clock, mommy needs a cup of tea by herself, right? There's a cutoff point. Mommy gets recess. Also, doesn't mean you have to be at, because just because we are homeschooling or sheltered in doesn't mean that you have to be at everybody's beck every second. I have to wonder what happens when you say no, or what you're afraid will happen if you say no, right? I'm just curious. I'm just saying. Your son is 6. Yeah, 6 years old. That's work. That's hands on, no doubt, right? So I think, for one thing, know that you are doing the best you can and you're doing great. And you didn't talk about, Caddy says a new world that was never here before. You didn't sign on for this. So give yourself a little credit, first of all. And just, there may be times when you have to surrender. That yes, this is time that I am attending to my son's education. I have to. I'm not. It's not either or. What's the third option? Being totally selfish, attending to my son's education. But what's the third option? We have to start thinking in less dualistic ways. The third option is, I think, what I'm suggesting, which is have some set time. That's time for the kids' schooling. And then you have to have time for yourself. Otherwise, you got nothing to give. It seems to me. I don't know. I've never had trouble with that kind of selfishness. Maybe there's something wrong with me. I don't know. But a lot of people do. A lot of parents do. And I get that, you know. But the kids pick up on the stress. They pick up on your unhappiness, right? So, in a sense, that expression, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy, it's true. You have to take care of yourself and your mindset. You have to model good self care and good mindset, right? So I'm checking for messages, nothing else. Um, I'm going to be doing this again on Friday at the same time, 4 o'clock. I'm hoping I can edit this mess a little bit because otherwise people are going to have to scramble through the first 15 minutes to get to anything. But I would love it if you could message me any thoughts or questions or issues or topics that you want to focus on. I also want to let you know that, you know, I don't recommend people cutting their prices during this time. So if you're an entrepreneur out there, don't cheapen your offerings. That's not what I suggest you do. Create new ones, new, more affordable ones to make yourself available in service to people in the way that you can. So, what I've done in that regard is, I don't do single sessions. I have a 6-month minimum when I coach with people privately, but because of things being what they are, I am offering a one-time, one-off half-hour session. I'm calling it a pivot planning session. Now, if you were to break my prices down, they would come to, if you were going to say, if I paid by the session, if you know, it would be about $200 a session, right? That I make, that I earn. I'm doing one per person pivot planning session so that I can help you get your head around this brand new world and make a strategy for yourself. I'm offering that session for $49. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste into the chat the link where you can go to schedule that. And you'll see some choices. You'll see general meeting, you'll see coaching sessions, and you will see pivot planning session, $49. If you want to schedule a half hour one on one with me where we can actually have a flow of communication and talking here, right? And we can go in there, and it's going to be a very focused session because my goal, and I hope yours would be coming to the session, would be to come up with a game plan, a solution for a specific problem. Perhaps it's to put a schedule in place for yourself that works and figuring out what the boundaries around that schedule are so that you can start to feel at home in yourself again, right? It could be anything that you're dealing with. It could be a relationship issue with someone who just doesn't get it, right? And helping you manage your mind around that and manage your communication around that. Okay. So if you go to, oh, I didn't do it. There it is. Yeah, I think I just did it. If you go there to oncehub.com, there it is. Just copy paste that into the browser, and you can go and you can make a one-on-one appointment with me for some coaching specifically around how we pivot, how to pivot in this challenging time, which is a gift in its own weird way. So I would say if you want to do something fun, I give you a little homework assignment for you. Do a little free writing, journaling, little free flow writing on all. Just start to reframe this time, this new time. Reframe it into all the ways in which it's great. How is this pandemic great? Right? What do you have to gain from this sheltering in place? What's the upside? Right? I want you to start to do a little written mind management. Okay? So yeah, hi Kevin, I'm glad you joined. Nice to see you. I'm actually going to sign off now in a minute because I've been yapping nonstop. I want to see if there's anything else. Oh, what's going on? but I feel exhausted. Feels like I can only do things well do one thing well at a time. Well, how many more things can you do well at a time but one thing? You can't. It sounds like maybe after school is out, you need a nap. You need a little time to, reboot, right? You have to respond to your need and where it's living in your body and feel into what it is you need. And I know we're going to have time, you and I, to work on this particular issue, and it's great that you're raising it. But let's see if we can reframe it. You feel exhausted after. Sure you do. I would. I would take a nap. If you can take a nap, right, instead of like, not a 3 hour nap, but if you can take, the science is all over the place for the power of naps so that you are rebooting the system. Okay, if you can take a 20-minute nap, I'm telling you, Surabi, I think you'll be able to take some of your life back. And build in some satellite time between things. You have to have what I call buffer or satellite time between activities, transition time. We're not machines. We can't just go from one activity to the next activity. No. Okay? So it sounds like you need a little rest after school's out. Okay? And I want you to practice radical kindness towards yourself. Catch yourself doing something right for a change. That's another assignment for everybody. Every time you do something right, I want you to pat yourself on the back or whoop whoop or whatever. Or just a little internal acknowledgement. That was good. Because I know a lot of people who on this call and who I talk to really, really have a hard time. They are so habituated mentally to catching themselves fucking up that when something good happens, it goes right by them. You know, this is a funny little story. I'm gonna leave you with. This is a tendency. I live with two gentlemen who have some focus challenges, and we had some cookie dough in the fridge. And this happens from time to time. They could not find it. It wasn't in there. No, it just could not be found. Right. Well, everybody goes to bed. I open the fridge and there it is. Now here's the thing. I believe they were not able to see it because they did not expect to. I had a friend who used to find four-leaf clovers all the time, and I would ask, "How do you do that?" "I've never found a four-leaf clover," and she would say, "Well, because I know I will." Catch yourself. Catch yourself in what terms of what you believe. If you believe you can, or if you believe you can't, you're right. If you believe you can rest and then have time for yourself, you're right. And you'll find the how. The how will reveal itself. Okay? I learned this great thing the other day, and I believe it's called the Stockdale Paradox. I don't know, maybe Kevin, I have another coach online with me here, has heard of it. I believe it's Admiral James Stockdale was a Vietnam veteran, and he was a prisoner of war. He was a prisoner of war for 7 years in terrible POW Hanoi Hilton, prison setting, and he was in solitary for 4 years. Can you imagine? We're talking about loneliness now. Solitary for 4 years, all right, and tortured numerous times, and he managed to survive it. Highly traumatized man, I'm sure, but went on to have a great life and make a big difference. And people would ask him how he got through it, and he would say, "Well, I had to hold two realities at once. One was how shitty things really were. It's not about being Pollyanna and just saying everything's great when it's not. He had to realize, okay, that's a broken bone right there. Whatever, right? This is terribly painful." And at the same time, he had to have the faith that it would end, and the faith that he would find a way to get through it. That's the paradox. That's the only way to find the how, is if you have the faith that there is one. Only then can you start to turn your attention towards it and find it and create that how. All right? We're going to get through this. You know what? Everything changes. Impermanence, right? I don't think it's Sanskrit. It's another language. It's another ancient dead language. I forget. I think it's called Pali, P-A-L-I, anicca. A beautiful word, anicca. It means impermanence. This is impermanent. We're going to have great times again, and guess what? Those will be impermanent. All right? The only thing that's permanent is the witness and the part of you that manages your mind, the big S in self. All right. So I'm going to go now, folks. I'll see you again Friday at 4 o'clock. Thanks for listening. I love you all, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.